In the dead of night, in a hospital long since abandoned, whispers still echo through the empty halls. This isn't just another ghost story. This is a true account from a place where life met death every single day. Welcome to Waverly Hills Sanatorium, a place built to fight a plague. It soon became a tomb for thousands. They say the souls of those who never left still wander the infamous death tunnel, a 500-foot chute used to transport the deceased away from the eyes of the living. Nurses have reported seeing shadowy figures, hearing disembodied voices calling for help, and feeling an icy grip in the dark. We re-diving deep into the chilling history and paranormal evidence of one of America's most haunted locations. What we found is more terrifying than any fiction. Subscribe now and prepare to witness the truth behind the legends. You won't want to watch this alone. The story of Waverly Hills begins not with ghosts, but with a very real, very human terror: tuberculosis. In the early 20th century, Jefferson County, Kentucky, was ravaged by what was known as the White Plague. The disease spread like wildfire, and the city of Louisville desperately needed a place to isolate and treat the sick. In 1910, a small 2-story wooden building was constructed on a high hill. Chosen for its fresh air and sunlight, the only known treatments for TB at the time. This was the original Waverly Hills, but the plague was relentless. Soon, the small hospital was overwhelmed. The need for a much larger, more permanent structure was undeniable. So, in 1926, the building that we know today rose from the ground. A massive 5-story Gothic structure, a state-of-the-art medical facility for its time. It was designed to be a place of healing, a beacon of hope against a seemingly unstoppable disease. It could house over 400 patients, and for a while it seemed like a triumph of modern medicine. But the reality inside those walls was far grimmer. Tuberculosis treatments were often experimental and brutal. Patients endured procedures like thoracoplasty, where ribs were surgically removed to allow the lungs to expand. Others had balloons inserted into their lungs to inflate them. These were desperate measures, and the success rates were tragically low. For many, Waverly Hills wasn't a place of recovery. It was the last place they would ever see. Death toll was staggering. While official records are hard to come by, it's estimated that tens of thousands of people died within these walls. The sheer volume of death created a logistical and psychological problem. How do you manage so much loss without creating widespread panic among the remaining patients? The hospital's solution was both ingenious and deeply macabre: the body chute, or, as it's more commonly known, the death tunnel. This 500-foot-long tunnel ran from the hospital down the steep hill to the railroad tracks below. It was originally built to transport supplies up to the sanatorium, but it quickly took on a much darker purpose. Every day, the bodies of the deceased were discreetly loaded onto carts, covered and wheeled into the tunnel. Out of sight, out of mind. They were transported down the long, dark passage, away from the windows of the living, who were still fighting for their own lives. Imagine being a patient, hearing the rumble of the cart in the tunnel below, knowing exactly what it meant. Imagine being a nurse, forced to perform this solemn, secret duty day after day. The tunnel became a conduit of sorrow, a final, lonely journey for thousands of souls. It's no wonder that today, this tunnel is considered one of the most paranormally active areas on the entire property. Visitors and investigators report hearing disembodied footsteps, the squeak of unseen wheels and mournful cries echoing from the darkness within. It's as if the energy of all that sadness and despair has been permanently imprinted on the very stone and earth of the tunnel. But the hauntings of Waverly Hills aren't confined to the death tunnel. The entire building is a hotbed of paranormal activity, with each floor telling its own tragic story. Let's start on the 5th floor. This area housed the mentally ill tuberculosis patients and also contained the children's ward. The rooftop solariums were used for heliotherapy, exposing patients to sunlight. But the 5th floor is most famous for room 502. The legends surrounding this room are some of the most enduring at Waverly. One story tells of a nurse who, in 1928, took her own life in this room. Unmarried and pregnant, she was supposedly overcome with despair. Another story tells of a different nurse who, in 1932, either jumped or was pushed from the window of room 502. Whether these stories are historically accurate or have morphed into legend over time, the activity reported in room 502 is undeniably terrifying. Visitors report seeing a shadowy figure of a woman standing in the window, hearing a female voice telling them to get out, and experiencing sudden, overwhelming feelings of sadness and dread. Objects are said to move on their own, and disembodied whispers are frequently captured on audio recordings. Is it the spirit of a heartbroken nurse, forever trapped in her final moments of despair? As we move down to the 4th floor, the atmosphere becomes even heavier. This was where the sickest patients were housed, the ones closest to death. It was the surgical floor, the site of those experimental and often fatal procedures. Staff and investigators alike report a high concentration of activity here. Shadow people are a common sight, flitting down the long corridors and ducking into empty rooms. These dark, human-shaped apparitions are seen so frequently that they've become one of the hallmarks of a Waverly Hills investigation. They seem to watch from a distance, just at the edge of your vision, disappearing the moment you turn to look directly at them. Some believe these are the spirits of former patients, still wandering the floor where they spent their final painful days. They don't seem malicious, just lost, and perhaps curious about the living who now walk their halls. The 3rd floor is known for a different kind of entity. This is the home of Timmy, perhaps Waverly's most famous spirit. Timmy is believed to be the ghost of a young boy who died in the hospital. Unlike the sorrowful entities on other floors, Timmy is said to be a playful spirit. He's known to roll balls back and forth with visitors, to be heard giggling in the hallways, and his small shadow has been seen darting around corners. Paranormal investigators often bring toys and balls to the 3rd floor, specifically to try and interact with him. Many have captured incredible audio and video evidence of these interactions: a ball moving on its own, a disembodied child's laugh in response to a question. Timmy's story is a poignant reminder that children were not spared from the horrors of the White Plague. His playful presence is a bittersweet echo of a life cut far too short. Even after a cure for tuberculosis was found and Waverly Hills closed its doors as a sanatorium in 1961, the building's story didn't end. It was briefly reopened as a geriatric facility, but it was plagued by rumors of patient mistreatment and neglect. It was finally shut down for good by the state in 1982. Since then, it has stood empty, falling into decay. But it has never been truly silent. The stories, the legends, and the paranormal encounters have only grown stronger over the years. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence captured at Waverly is the creeper. This is a thermal imaging video that shows a dark, crawling figure moving across a hallway. It's not a shadow. It's a thermal anomaly, a human-shaped mass that is significantly colder than its surroundings. It moves with an unnatural, unsettling gait and seems to be about 3 feet tall. Skeptics have tried to debunk it, suggesting it could be a small animal or a trick of the light, but no rational explanation has ever fully accounted for what the camera captured that night. The creeper remains one of the most chilling and inexplicable pieces of paranormal evidence ever recorded. Beyond the specific stories and famous entities, the overall atmosphere of Waverly Hills is something that affects nearly everyone who steps inside. People report being touched, pushed, and grabbed by unseen hands. They experience sudden temperature drops, hear their names called by voices that have no source, and see doors slam shut on their own. The feeling of being watched is constant and overwhelming. It's as if the building itself is alive, saturated with the emotions of the thousands who lived and died there. The hope, the fear, the pain, and the sorrow, it all lingers. So, is Waverly Hills Sanatorium truly haunted? To the thousands of paranormal investigators, historians, and curious visitors who have walked its decaying halls, the answer is a resounding yes. The sheer volume of personal experiences, combined with the wealth of photographic, audio, and video evidence, is difficult to dismiss. This isn't just a place with a sad history. It's a place where that history seems to be actively replaying itself, night after night. The echoes of the past are not silent here. They whisper in the hallways, they cry out in the empty rooms, and they wander the dark, lonely death tunnel. The spirits of Waverly Hills are not monsters from a horror movie. They are the echoes of real people who suffered an unimaginable fate. They are the nurses who worked tirelessly, the children who never got a chance to grow up, and the patients who fought a losing battle. Their stories deserve to be told, not just as a ghost hunt, but as a powerful reminder of a dark chapter in our history. The next time you hear a strange noise in the quiet of your own home, Think of the endless whispers in the halls of Waverly. The truth, as they say, is often far more terrifying than fiction. Thank you for joining us on this journey into one of America's most haunted places. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown, and let us know in the comments what location you want us to explore next. Stay safe, and try not to watch alone.